Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey here, once again with another video on Arrow Season 5, and this is going to be my review for episode 20, otherwise entitled Underneath, aka the Olicity episode that was sort of promoted over the past, I'd say, month and a half or so. So obviously before we go ahead, there will be spoilers within this review of what happened in the episode, which of course makes sense, so if you've not watched the episode, be sure to go check it out before watching the rest of this video, because, as I said, spoilers. So really from last episode, it did set up some of the stuff leading on into this episode between both Oliver and Felicity, as well as Lyla and Diggle, who we'll talk about Lyla and Diggle towards the end of the video, because it was still a big part of the episode for the most part. But obviously last episode ended with them trying to track Adrian Chase, and an explosion going off in the bunker, and we're sort of left on that, that cliffhanger ending, wondering what the hell just happened, sorry. Now we find out it was actually an EMP that has gone off. So it wasn't an explosion, nothing's really damaged. It's just that, that electromagnetic pulse went off, and anything that, runs off electricity is sort of stuffed. Which of course includes the elevator or the doors, because it just been, like, the bunker had been, very heavily armored and, made to be very secure. So everything's like run off electricity, so all of that is stuffed. And I guess one of the bigger things that's sort of stuffed by the EMP is the chip in Felicity's spine, which allows her to walk, and now Felicity is paralyzed again and back in the wheelchair. Now the flashbacks in this episode, which as I mentioned in my trailer breakdown, were between the events of Season 4 and Season 5. Really it was like, what, one day between Season 4 and 5, so I thought it was going to be like spread out, but they just focus on like one day and evening of the events between Season 4 and 5. Like, we do get some hints at the lead up to the events of early this season, like, mentioning getting more people on the team because Oliver's sort of struggling to do it by himself, and even the fact when Oliver's still got like the sleeveless Arrow suit, and like he suggests getting some Kevlar sleeves because he keeps getting cut and stuff like that. So they did little references to stuff that we saw happen at the beginning of this season. Now we do see Oliver get injured through a means which I think we all knew it was coming. It's like, okay, well, he's obviously not going to do anything here because, this is only like, I think it was only like 15 minutes into the episode or something. So I think we all knew, okay, something's going to happen here. And a little explosion went off. I'm not 100% sure what it was. Was it like it planted by Adrian Chase or something? I'm not sure if they completely explained what happened there. If they did, please let me know in the comments. But due to this injury and like Oliver and Felicity having to interact more due to it, because Oliver's sort of stuffed, it brings up the issue of trust between Oliver and Felicity, which was basically the main focus, or the main focus in regards to their relationship in this episode. How Felicity always put this trust in Oliver, but Oliver never relayed that back to Felicity. Which then also goes back to the flashbacks as well. Like, it was basically the same feelings. Like, Oliver in the present day in this episode, for the most part, was basically the same as he was in the flashbacks that we saw between Seasons 4 and 5. Now, obviously, I've mentioned Oliver and Felicity, sort of mentioned Lyla and Diggle, but what about the rest of Team Arrow? Well, we obviously saw them attempting to break into the bunker to actually break out Oliver and Felicity. And I thought they might have done it in a different means. Like, it was actually pretty interesting the way that they did it, and I thought it actually ended up well when it came to the end of the episode, sorry. But they obviously are continuing on that, like, that strong connection between Curtis and Renee, because that's sort of been like a minor storyline, I guess, if you want to call it that, throughout, I guess the back half of this season between them two. But I think the actual breaking in to break out Oliver and Felicity worked well with all the obstacles that the two different teams had to face. Like the team of the people above the bunker and the team of Oliver and Felicity. Sorry, I think the two obstacles that they had to face worked out well for the episode, and I think it all played out pretty well. Now, as I did mention, Lyla and Diggle this episode did have like a similar thing going on with Oliver and Felicity. It was a bit different though. And obviously it had begun last episode with the whole like Diggle just shocked by how much Lyla has changed due to Argus. And like he brings up the point with like, I think we all thought it as well, like when Amanda Waller died and Lyla went in charge, we thought, okay, this is going to be a different Argus. But really, Argus hasn't changed too much. Like, really, they're just not doing the Suicide Squad anymore for the most part. Like, they're still pretty savage in the way that they go about their actions. But Lyla does bring up some good points in regards to, like, it's a bit hypocritical for Diggle to roast her about it and like judge her, when Team Arrow, for a lot of the time that it's been in existence, sort of did the same thing. Like, they took the law in their own hands and stuff like that. They thought they were like the upper part of the law and stuff like that. So Lyla was right in some of her judgments, but also Diggle was right in some of his as well. But one thing that Lyla was still a bit shifty with, and I can understand why there's some like distrust between not only Diggle but also the rest of Team Arrow towards Lyla and Argus, was that they had a T-sphere, sorry, and they didn't design it, they actually stole it. So yeah, it's a bit shifty there. Like, you know, you're interacting with these people a lot, Lyla. You think you might just be able to ask, hey, can we have a T-sphere just to, you know, test it and stuff like that. And obviously Lyla's excuse was that she just likes to keep tabs on interesting tech, which I guess makes sense, but you might want to tell us next time. But the cliffhanger for this episode, and it's going to lead on into the finale, because I'm pretty sure this is going to play out in the finale, but we see William, Oliver's son, who I think he changed his name to Matthew. I think that's what his new name would be, but he runs into, of all people, Adrian Chase. And this is mainly why Adrian wanted Oliver locked up in the bunker for this extended period of time, so he had his own time to go and start his plan leading up to the finale, which obviously involves getting William. So it's very interesting. As soon as that happened, I was like, oh god, what's going to happen here? So I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen next episode. I haven't watched the promo, but I'm pretty sure William's involvement leads up into the finale, and it's going to be the main reason that Oliver goes after Adrian Chase as hard as he does. But I think the show's doing a decent job of actually involving Prometheus or Adrian Chase without actually having him in the episode. Like, really, all this bunker stuff was because of him, but he's not even in the episode. He wasn't even in last episode, and he still had an effect on it. So they're doing a pretty decent job of having Prometheus be such a threat and such like an annoyance to Team Arrow without him actually physically being there. So yeah, they're doing a pretty good job at it. Now, I guess one big question that comes from this episode, because it isn't answered, which I found really annoying, because I was like, I thought if you watch my trailer breakdown, I was really hoping they would just answer it in this episode, and that question is Olicity back? And obviously the answer is still, I don't know, because like they just leave on like a sort of a weird way, if you want to call it that. Like, it's really unsure or uncertain if Olicity is going to be back. But I think this question would hopefully be answered by the end of this season, because season 6, well, going into season 6, they've even said it themselves, like the producers and the actors and everything, like everyone involved with the show, that it's sort of going to be like a soft reboot. So not like a complete reboot where like everyone's changed and stuff like that, but a soft reboot where like the theme of the show might be slightly changed going into season 6, maybe the location, maybe the supporting cast, you know, just different things around that. There might be, you know, little changes going into season 6, but I think if they were going to make Olicity back, it would be something they would, you know, probably establish at the end of this season going into season 6, than rather leave it and establish it in season 6. Or if they were going to completely end it and make it that Oliver and Felicity would not get back together again, they're going to stay as, you know, work partners and close friends, then they would have to do the same. And as I said, I was hoping they would do it in this episode, but that's not really what happened. But I did find it interesting that they did the whole sex scene and stuff in between seasons 4 and 5. I thought they just would have done some like really strong romantic tension, which then led on to the events in this episode where they were finally alone together and they could discuss that. So it was a bit surprising with what they did, but I guess it worked for the most part. But overall, I thought this episode was pretty decent. For what it was, how it was so self-contained, I think they did a pretty good job. I think it was very smart with how like they made it all purple and stuff like that, and then obviously in the flashbacks it was all lit up green, just so people understood what was a flashback and what wasn't, because even though the EMP might have been out, people might have got confused and thought, oh, the lights came back on. It could have been a bit confusing, and it just gets me really excited with that cliffhanger with Adrian Chase, just to see what he has planned, because, you know, his plan is forever evolving. We're finding out as Oliver finds out and stuff like that. It's not like we're seeing Prometheus do stuff and, you know, we're just left questioning, oh, okay, we don't know what's going to happen here. We're sort of, you know, learning as Oliver learns as well. Because I think Oliver knows at this stage that, you know, Prometheus is most likely going after William. The only thing that he really didn't know was his location. So I wonder if they're going to establish how Adrian learned of William's location. I guess maybe because of the Argus inside man that we saw last episode. But I'm not 100% sure about that. So that's one thing I'm actually looking forward to seeing, is how he worked out where William was located. But thanks for watching, guys. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like on it. It'd be very much appreciated. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of this episode. Do you think Olicity is going to come back at the end of this season? Or are you hoping that they sort of answer the question as soon as possible, whether it's going to be back or it's not going to be back? Because I don't like it when shows do that. Like, it's season 5. Come on. Like, it's not season 1 or 2. Like, answer it right now, because people just get frustrated with it. But yeah, leave all your opinions on the episode in the comment section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.